Michael Brocta. It's a pleasure for me to be serving as a club president. So, is it hot enough for you? All right. What you need to know is you're now in the coolest place in Roanoke. That's this. Well, on his way up now is Darren Dirk. He's going to lead us in the call for introspection, and then Joyce Montgomery is going to lead us in the pledge.
Judge Joe here gave me an introduction to my introspection today. He said, "How are you?" I said, "I'm fine." And that was my question to you. How do you respond when people say, "How are you?" Lots of times we say, "Fine, I'm okay, I'm good." My Uncle Pat used to always respond, "I can't complain." And I was at a meeting, it's like recently, I just remember. And the speaker said, his talk was about gratitude. And he challenged us not to complain about anything for 30 days and to write down at least one thing that we could be grateful for every day. And, you know, when we open our eyes to God's blessings every day, we will find many things for which we can be grateful. When I thought about my blessings, I found many things I could be grateful for. This club, for example, all of you being my friends. Fortunately, I had good health, and also for those challenges that we all face, that some are good and some are bad. But we always have faith that we will get through it. And so being grateful is a choice. Choosing to be grateful in every situation is up to us, and it can keep our hearts filled with joy. I would like for you to remember that gratitude is a life-changing attitude. Don't complain about anything. Find at least one thing every day to be grateful for. Thank you very much.
Please join me in the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice.
Thank you all. Please be seated. Thank you, Joyce, for the pledge. Gary, I'm grateful you did the introspection. On her way up now is Andre Brooks, and she's going to go ahead and introduce our guests. And he has wanted the microphone. Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'm Andre Brooks, and it's my honor to be the greeter today and welcome all of our members here, and particularly to welcome our guests. We have two that I would like to introduce. The first is Chris Rouse. He's with United Way of Roanoke Valley. Please stand, and his sponsor today is Bart Wilner. So everybody, that it would be really nice to because he started.
Yeah.
Are you on mute?
I don't know.
She is an intern with Roanoke City Parks and Rec, and you'd be really nice to her too, because.
Can't hear what she's saying.
John, mute yourself. We can hear you.
Says mute right there.
No, click on it. There you are.
And today we're going to have a very enjoyable meeting as well.
Thank you, Andre. Guests, here's what's happening next. Every week I stand up here and deliver an awe-inspiring, inspirational president's message, at least in my own mind. And since we get out of a spring hot weather, I'm going to shift gears a bit. I want you all to visualize cold winter morning, right? You're looking out over a big open field, which you can see clearly, and that field is covered in fresh, new fallen snow. Wouldn't that be nice, wouldn't it? People have been out for hours enjoying this field and the new fallen snow. You can see tracks in the snow going every which way. Well, leadership is like that. There are many footprints in the snow when it comes to leadership. Here's what I mean. Some of those footprints, some of those paths, go to a useful destination. Others don't have so much. Well, the path I follow in the subject of leadership is the path we often refer to as servant leadership. Thank you, Robert Greenleaf, for popularizing that in his best-selling book from several decades ago. So that means, as a servant leader, I look to work on your behalf to set goals for our club and then support you in achieving those goals, right? And we all know the big goal for this year, and hopefully for years to follow. So my leadership style also involves a bit of matchmaking. So let's intersect those two concepts: servant leadership and matchmaking. As far as I'm concerned, nothing is superior to an employee or volunteer who are highly self-motivated. Self-motivated. Those self-motivated people will spend time, if I can match them, they will spend time doing something that serves the needs of our organization, our Kiwanis club. And that's the key. Matchmaking someone who's already self-motivated in something that is important for them, and matching them with someone who's the club needs. After all, that's why we have 40 committees. This club has 40 committees because people are self-motivated to do things that I like to match them up with something that really is beneficial for our club. So, blah, 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 blah. Hopefully you all read this in the newsletter. Blah. Okay. My self-appointed goal then is to help you find the match in our club that resonates with you, moves our club forward. And I make a commitment, not just during my term as president, I make a commitment to help you with that anytime and any place. Because if we do that, we're going to achieve what?
Outreach.
Speakers, it's time for you to yell out the term.
Outreach.
Thank you very much. We're gonna benefit from an autobiography today from our own Jill Sloss. Jill, we're looking forward.
There, thank you, President Mike. So I entered the world of Memorial Hospital on Saturday, June 14th, 1969. I, along with a few other people, briefly held the record for being the youngest person alive. It was all been conducted. Thank goodness, what did we ever do that? My parents were island out of towns. My dad had worked for Norfolk Southern, the coal traffic department for 45 years, becoming the manager for quite a few years before he retired. My mom was a registered nurse, gave up her career when I was born, and later became an accomplished local watercolor artist. My parents, my brother, who was 5 years younger than me, and certainly people have changed my life today. I grew up 5 minutes from Collins University in Roanoke. I've always been a person of faith, but I was baptized at the young age of 7. Decision I made entirely by myself. I believe at the time I was the youngest person at my church to take that step. My faith is what gets me through every day and helps me make every decision. I went to Northside High School. In addition to being a part of the choir, being a cheerleader for soccer, if you can imagine that, I also was a part of the Kiwanis club. Back then, I never thought that someday I might be a member of one of the largest clubs in the world. I was extremely shy and quiet. I didn't go back. When I was a junior, I may have been quiet, but I was present. I spent my studying homework with a student development office, and when I wasn't helping another student, I researched careers just for fun. I decided that public relations was interesting, and my father helped me get an informational interview through a fellow church member who had me speak with a spokesperson, PR manager, for Dominion Bank shares. She happened to be Brenda McDaniel, whom I believe all of you know. After speaking with her, I knew that PR was a career path that I wanted to take. I only applied to her college, as my favorite uncle and several cousins had graduated from there in London. There, I lived on campus and never went home. Everything had changed. I wasn't quite shining for it. I was a sociology and communications major. In addition to being a part of the college choir, including the PR director, I was associate editor of the school newspaper, the Rackety Act. And how many of you all are sorority and fraternity members in here? Okay, so quite a few. I was became a sister of the Chi Lambda fraternity, holding positions as coach, class chapter correspondent, and to service chair. As a sophomore, the PR director of the Virginia Transportation Museum, Ben Kay Strickland, spoke to my business communications class about the importance of internships. I know we have one in here today. I reached out to her and she gave me a list of possibilities. The first one I called was Channel 7, of course, now we all call WDBJ 7, entering the promotions and programming department. My major task there was representing the station at the Salem Fair. I told my parents and friends, this is what I want to do for the rest of my life. That led to 4 other media internships. At the time, I tied the fellow student for competing the most. Before I graduated from college, I had an offer to work as a promotions assistant at the local Fox affiliate in Lynchburg. I worked with quite a few nonprofits there, and ironically, one of those was Family Service of Roanoke Valley. I stayed there for 3 years, then moved on to Gessler Publishing, located across the nearby Fire Station 1. For 5 years, I literally sold 4-language education products all around the world. My largest customers were the New York City Board of Education and the U.S. military. From there, I went back to broadcasting. I worked for Q99 FM as the relations director for a whopping 12 years. While there, I met the love of my life, Jeff. On April 10th, 1993, we were at JC. And we were married on July 9th, 1994. I had my first son, Levi, in 2000, another son, Brayden, in 2002, and Amelia in 2007. All 3 embraced the accomplishments of my life. Well, at Q99, I was able to work with so many nonprofits, which led me to work for Evento, a nonprofit that produced events such as Party in the Park, the Big Lick Blues Festival, and a festival in the park. I began as a development director and was promoted to executive director. I then went back to corporate communications and went to work for American National University as a publications editor. Won the department's first ever national award with Bulldog Media, and was promoted to communications manager, which I was responsible for helping to oversee a staff of 10 and helping to provide communications assistance to our 23 campuses in 6 states. I then went to another nonprofit, the Salem Roanoke County Chamber of Commerce. As executive director, I stayed there for 2 years. One of the members made me an offer I couldn't refuse to go work for them. That was a financial planner, and I helped him with operations, helping him hold staff meetings for the very first time, and the importance of offering benefits to employees. After 2 years there, I decided that industry was not for me. I did not want to become a financial advisor or planner as I had thought. I saw the job at Family Service of Roanoke Valley advertised and decided to interview in July of 2019. I have been there ever since. I get to do all the organization's fundraising and marketing. We help more than 2,000 people annually with their mental health challenges. Mental health is so important, actually it's everything. Through this position, I've been able to work with so many of you, Mike, Sherry, and others. You all know who you are. I'm most fortunate and blessed. I'll close with the words that I do my best to live by every day, and they're even written on my Facebook profile. Unlike my open, I didn't find them on Reddit. Be kind to everyone and treat them with respect, and everything happens for a reason. Thank you.
Rupert, I couldn't hear a word they said.
John, it was very, very bad. I've told John Montgomery it's very bad.
So,
I may drop
next word
out.
we're gonna hear from is Bill Bestovich. I've asked him to come up and say a few words to you about the draft and strategic plan. He'll take it from there.
Thank you, President Mike. Mike told me when we got started on this project that lengthy and complicated strategic plans are difficult to implement and to monitor. They're likely to end up just collecting dust on a shelf somewhere. Your strategic planning committee has worked diligently to draft a new strategic plan that is lean and mean. Limited to two objectives. One, enhance membership and maintain viability. And two, improve outreach and serve our community. The broadly worded strategies and tactics under those two objectives cover just about everything we do without going into excruciating detail. Now, if the next two presidents, Gene and Joyce, decide to appoint me, I will continue to chair the committee until my term on the board expires on September 30, 2026. By that time, we will know who our presidents will be through September 30, 2029. The plan gives each president flexibility to focus on his theme and priorities. Through quarterly reports to the board of directors, monitoring implementation has become an established practice for future presidents to continue, with the option of revising the plan as warranted. So it's now ready for your review. Please take a few moments to look it over. You can go to the website, click on the members tab, and then click Club Strategic Plan Draft 2024-620. Or you can take the shortcut that Alex Barge so kindly provided in our e-newsletter by just clicking on the link that he included there. And I hope you'll continue to put that in the newsletter for the next couple of issues. Any comments? Send them to me at billbestpitch@gmail.com by July 17th. That's 3 weeks from today. Most of you will not be surprised to know that the first certified and only comments I have received are from past President. If the board approves the plan at the August meeting, it will go into effect for our 2024-25 bonus year on October 1. Thank you. Let me know if you have any questions.
Thank you, Bill. This strategic planning committee have been working for months and months on that draft that you had in front of him. He had the right people in the room to represent the vision of the future for our club. I'm just so impressed that many people wanted to spend that much time, usually on a Saturday, with you. I think that speaks to not only the seriousness of the subject, but the leadership skills you have. Thank you for that.
Dedication to the club.
So Bob Hagan is standing by. I've asked him to come up and give you a word about this year's grants cycle.
And that's President Mike. It's hard to believe, but we're going to start our cycle of grants on June 30th, which is Sunday. As you know, last year we handed out 27 grants to nonprofits for a total of $65,000, and that's pretty amazing for a association, a club like ours. Now, June 30th, I plan to send out over 80 requests for proposals to nonprofits in our area. And if anybody out there has a nonprofit that they want me to include, please let me know their address so I can send them one. To actually qualify, they have to be a nonprofit that is described under 501c3. It has to be located in the Roanoke Valley area. And it has to have an impact on the very young, the very old, or the environment. So if there's somebody who would like me to send a request for proposals to, please let me know and I will send them out
I'm saying, thank you. Same, the strategic planning committee. That grants committee that Bob Hamer runs, many of you run. I think you'll back me up with this. The right people are in that group every year when we review grant proposals. It's a really well-oiled machine. So thank you for that, Mr. Haverman. At some point, the grant paperwork will appear on the grants page of our website. On that page, you can see the list of grant recipients from last year and the amounts. On that page, you'll see a copy of the paperwork that Bob is sending out requesting grant proposals. Well done. I'm going to look backwards in time just a little bit at the announcements. I'll start with last week. Bridge Builders had a big event last week. Bridge Builders is the organization that is being jointly led by people in this club and Shiloh Baptist Church. Ken Briggs, and is Joe back there? Yep. Joe have taken a big initiative. Many of you are supporting that. Thank you. I believe they're at the Salem Red Sox, as I recall. Also, last week, since we met, the Presidential Advisors Committee met. That committee serves as at my clinic as club president. I chose to form a committee filled with 20 past presidents. Well, what the heck? 16 of them came out for lunch this past week, and we talked about things they've already accomplished and things they intend to accomplish as a group, this club. Let me emphasize, as a group. You look around this room and you see many, many active past presidents. It's remarkable. Well, they accomplished a lot on their own. Now we have a group of past presidents that want to act together and accomplish some things for our club. Remarkable. So, also this past week, we had a pop-up pizza party at Bell Mushroom. Andre Brooks led that effort. We had 16 of us there last night. Thank you. That was a fun event. And listed on the announcements. No, not listed on the announcements. In about a month, we're going to be drinking wine at a venue, so you'll hear more about that. It's in the news. All right. Fun day. Is at a wrap-up session. They had a big, huge, successful event. They're going to have a wrap-up session internally. Then on July 10th, when we meet here on Wednesday, they're going to give us a public wrap-up. Thank you for that. Blah, 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 sign up sheets, water brigade. You know, like I mentioned, it's been hot. Yeah. So, pollinator plants in the Kiwanis Nature Park need to be watered. Sherry has got sign-up sheets to help you do that. You sign up for a week, you go over periodically during the week, you water in full weeks. Please do that. I've done it. You should do it. Oh, that vineyard thing? There's information here. You'll see this information next week when the sign-up sheets are on the tables. This information says it's $50 per person. For your $15, you get a dinner, you get some live entertainment, you get Kiwanis cookies, whatever Kiwanis cookies are. I'm looking forward to finding out. And you can buy it online if you want. Last thing I'm going to mention that I know about is the officers. We're going to meet next week and then the board will meet after that. Every time the board meets, I encourage guests to show up. Every time the board meets, guests do show up. So thank you. So, now, it's time for an outreach award. In fact, for the first time in the history of the world, there's not just one outreach award today. There's not just two. Three. This has never happened before. We're on a press review. I don't know. So, Joining me now is an individual in this club who continues to further the outreach, continues to get our club's name out broadly to the public. Now, he continues to do that in such a way that we even got great press coverage for the funding. He continues to do that because he has an inside relationship with the Roanoke Times and Yan Casey. Steve, would you please come up here now? And we're applauding. Let's see. Steve is getting the outreach ribbon and the outreach pin, which I'm going to hand to you. You can wear the pin in Florida, Steve. Just saying. Let's give Steve a round of thank you. So that's one. Number 2 and 3 are coming on together. Because that one day event I kept mentioning, do you know that at that one day event, there were hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people from Roanoke Valley attending. Every one of us had the opportunity to learn something about our club. And there were dozens and dozens of other volunteer organizations there doing the same thing, having the opportunity to learn something about our club. So on the way up to the podium now is our own Joe Gaither and Sherry Hart. We're going to do Sherry first. She's been up here before, as you know, so she's a 2-time winner. Probably bigger winner than that, but that's the best I can do. So I handed her the pin. She can add that to her ribbon with her other pin. Now Joe is coming up here for the first time. Stand by for a photo. Hold that. Joe, I know how important faith and church is to you. I'm just going to suggest this would look mighty good in the church. Stand next to me, we're going to have a photograph together. And come up there. So, outreach is what we're doing because shocking, not every person in the Roanoke Valley knows about this club. Shocking. So now, for $2, anyone in the room is now going to go here and brag on a subject of their choice. Those $2 go into our 501c3 foundation and get turned into money that goes back out into the community. The criteria for bragging is it has to be short, non-controversial, and I just pray it's interesting. So come on up.
Thank you, President Mike. This is my third Kiwanis event in the last 24 hours. We had our past president's luncheon yesterday. And the fun day gathering in the lunchroom now this week. And I never get tired of seeing all of you. I've got to brag on President Mike for his willingness to put many past presidents in the same room together. You've ever seen 16 type A personalities trying to arrive at a conclusion in an hour and a half? Well, we were able to do that yesterday during our luncheon, mainly because Lee Osborne, the voice of reason, was there to quell any potential riots. Then again, last night at the end of that, Lee had us on the map, he had us referred to one another. My other brag is in regard to Hillary Manning. Some of you know that he's been having a number of vestibular problems for all the doctors in the area. You know that means Something is wrong with her balance, either through her eyes, her ears, or her sinuses. She's been going to a Cleveland clinic for the last couple of months, trying to get to the bottom of that. Emily, as you know, is a high energy, positive, proactive person. I talked with her for about half an hour this morning just to make sure I had permission to do this next thing, which is to tell you that there has been a meal train application placed onto the internet for her benefit so that meals can be prepared for her and her husband at her home during the week. We will have that information out to access meal train in the newsletter on the website, and you just heard it here from me as well. I asked Emily if it's okay if we did that, and she said she really appreciated that, but more importantly, prayers. Emily, back please. Thank you.
Thank you, President. I have a $5 rag, and I was a beneficiary of this rag. This past Friday, we had a big dinner at the Shrine for the Grand Master of Masons in Virginia, his entourage, and about 90 or 100 other guests. And I'm not a very good cook. I had a hard time with the organization, but I went to the person that I knew that could do the job. And I asked Amy if she would be kind enough to cater this event. Well, she did more than cater. She put on a spread. It was like clockwork. I didn't have to worry about another thing related to food or whatever. She just said, I'll do it. You go do what you gotta do. She did. Amy, would you come up, please? Not only does she do a great job for our Kiwanis Club, but she had a great catering service. And I can't tell you how much I appreciate this.
Thank you.
This is not, just reaching out for anybody that drives into the meeting through near the Crossroads Mall, where I live across the street. I need to know anybody that's gonna be coming up that way, let me know. I have a driver, but if we ever need another one, I'd like to have a list of people who live near the Crossroads Mall and come here on a Wednesday. Thank you.
Yes.
Tina left his phone. There, mine has been.
This department, I'd like to commend Andre Brooks and the group for the wonderful celebration last night, and also for celebrating my birthday, 75th. Thank you, Andre, and I got a wonderful dessert that was spectacular. So thank you all, and I'd like to donate 25, 75. Used to be 25. $75 each year. Thank you.
I'm fine, all right. And I'm a beneficiary. Or
Speak closer.
most successfully. As I'm getting ready to come to meetings, when I got a text message, and it said, get ready to come pick up your cider truck. So I've been planning for 4 years. My this Saturday I pick up a cider truck, so you'll see a couple of them roll down, and one of them be mine. So
planning and setting goals make a difference.
You can get back to the gentleman, you live near there.
Yeah, Don, you're right. Close to you, Don, so we may be in this. But I'm right off of Grandview.
Stay here. Outstanding, Brett. We know that you are absolutely dedicated to the idea of sustainable transportation that's ecologically sound. Looking forward to see you tooling around town. I'm hoping I get a ride in the truck as well. Now, this month, you've been successful in lining up a bunch of terrific speakers. You've done so again today. Please do the introduction.
With pleasure. Both Tori Williams and Andrea Garland, I've known for quite a while, been to some of their meetings. They are very committed to their job. Now, that's my notepad over here, so I can cheat a little bit. Sorry. Because I really want to make sure I give their organization the full name. The Roanoke Valley Allegheny Regional Commission is the official name of the organization, and Corey is the Director of Transportation. I didn't get your title.
I was actually the Director of Transportation Demand Management Services.
Okay. So they're gonna get a chance to both speak, but their presentation is a continuation of what we do with the Kiwanis Club outreach. They're heavily involved in outreach and outreach in transportation. They're heavily involved in strategic planning, the discussion here today. So I look forward to their presentation. And I hope that we all learn something from it. Without further ado, because Andrea has to leave, Tori Williams and Andrea Garland.
Well, good afternoon, and thanks to Bert for the invitation. Mark.
Oh,
Anyway,
yeah.
sorry about that. Good to see Chris here, one catching with Mr. Meyer, and seen him in a long time. It's good to see Commissioner Mr. Alvin here today. Good. Our presentation is that it'll be on the screen?
I think it is.
Okay.
I think we know why it was.
Yeah, I plugged it.
Would you like to just say slide and I'll advance it?
Sure. Our presentation today really has 4 parts. We're gonna talk briefly about what the MPO does. Take just a minute on that. I'm gonna talk about transportation planning, just the way you think about it, and then Andrea's gonna finish up by talking about a couple of studies that are recently completed by the MPO. Start as 5 for movie. Yeah. There you go. Thank you, John.
Okay.
You want to skip to slide 4. Get started. All right. Briefly, what an MPO is, I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this. I know many of them probably aren't really sure how the MPO functions or what we do. Other than Mr. Osborne has been on the MPO board for how many decades is it now? 3 decades. Okay. It's a lot of experience working in the MPO. Let's go to the next slide. The MPO is designed to facilitate discussion on issues of regional importance. We also help out local governments with technical projects, and we host the what's called the Roanoke Valley Transportation Planning Organization. What we don't do is that we're not a substitute for a local planning commission. So if you have a zoning issue or something like that, don't come to us. Go to your local government, and we are not actively involved in recruiting new businesses. That is the job of our regional partnership and the local economic development folks at localities. Next slide, please, John. The Roanoke Valley Allegheny Regional Commission hosts what's called the Roanoke Valley Transportation Planning Organization. That is the urban areas of Roanoke County, Montgomery County, Bedford County, the city of Roanoke, state of Salem, the town of Vinton. Next slide. We have 16 elected officials that serve on the RVTPO board from across the region. Next slide, a couple of standing committees. Next slide. I know I'm moving through this very, very quickly, but I want to get to the meat of what we're here talking about today. The RVTPO board approves planning and policy documents and directs federal dollars towards transportation projects. They set up vision for regional transportation in the Roanoke Valley, and we often provide feedback to state policymakers. Next slide, please. Just earlier this year, we awarded or allocated what are called pass-through dollars to the projects listed on the screen. Most of them are greenway projects in smaller dollar amounts, but I think we had around $18 million to allocate in this site. Next slide, please. And then we do a lot of public engagement, as Bert mentioned. We frequently have guest speakers. In fact, tomorrow we're lucky to have Delegate Terry Austin, who, as many of you may know, sits on the House Committee on Transportation, coming in to talk about some state funding issues and state transportation issues. For he returns to Richmond on Friday for a special session of the General Assembly. We also conduct a number of surveys. We have committees that I mentioned. I believe Dwayne D.R. from the city was here last week to talk about Williamson Road. I'm serving on that steering committee for that project. And then I mentioned we do a lot of stuff. All right. Please continue. All right. I'm just going to present a number of very dry and boring studies of transportation projects in the region, but it's very warm outside. I think we probably pass out from the heat. So I decided to make this more of a discussion oriented. So go ahead and skip to the next slide. When we think about transportation planning, there are three factors that I like to frequently contemplate as we go about the process. One, of course, is funding. Two, of course, is the process. And three, there's a certain political ramifications, as you can imagine, to transportation planning. Next slide, please. Funding, as you know, as you may know, comes from local, state, federal resources. Funding is typically used for construction of new projects or maintenance of existing projects. The maintenance is generally a state and local responsibility. Next slide. And you probably heard about the infrastructure project that was passed around 3 years ago, provided a lot of funding for transportation, a little over $500 billion in new transportation funding that went to a variety of infrastructure projects, not solely limited to transportation, but a lot of funding was for roads and bridges and transit and airports. And that money is slowly working its way down to the state level to various projects. Next slide. Transportation funding primarily comes through fuel tax. So at the federal level, you pay 18.4 cents per gallon, per gallon, and 19.3 in diesel. That goes to what's known as the Highway Trust Fund, which was created way back in the 1950s. Anybody in the room know the last time that the federal gas tax increased? Probably about the same time that Mr. Osborne joined the commission. It's 1993. Yeah. The state gas tax rate, 29.8 cents. And then in 2020, there was a regional gas tax of 8.8 cents, and then 8.9 cents for diesel. And then it goes towards improvements on Interstate 81. Next slide. The problem, of course, is that Bert's confused. He just indicated he bought an electric vehicle. Well, electric vehicles don't take gas, right? So moving forward, if you have hybrid vehicles, gas vehicles, we don't get any revenue from those vehicles, and that's led obviously to some structural imbalance. If you take a look at this very exciting chart, you'll see blip funding, in 2021, that represents the, infrastructure act I talked about earlier. But you can see in the out years, there's more going out than coming in. That's a problem that our members of Congress eventually, assuming that they can lessen their dysfunction, will get to and make some decisions on how we fund transportation. Next slide, please, John. State funding sources, there's a chart that actually didn't show up because I can't hesitate on it. It's very complex, but at the state level, we fund transportation again through fuels and diesel tax. Then there's a whole host of other taxes that we all pay to drive. Next slide. There's my chart. That's our state transportation funding chart. I don't have the time, patience, or really understanding to explain it to you today. Hopefully, thank you for that later. Next slide. In Virginia, most of our transportation funding comes towards goes towards the Commonwealth Transportation Fund. Again, not getting into all the details, but 51% of that fund goes towards maintenance, 49% goes towards construction. They had a long discussion at this last week's Commonwealth Transportation Board meeting, and one of my takeaways was that currently in FY25, the state will have about an $820 million deficit in the maintenance budget. So just at the federal level, there's not enough money to pay transportation projects. The state is facing a similar challenge. Next. So how are we getting into this situation? I'm not going to spend a great deal of time on this, but if those of you who have resided in the Commonwealth for a while know that for the greater part of the last century, we were led by the descendants of what was called the Bird Chief. These were largely officials from rural areas who were fiscally conservative, had a very rural focus. Next slide, please. That all began to change, of course, World War II, brought a lot of people to the Commonwealth, our cities grew, there's a lot more demands on the transportation network, and kind of an unwillingness to fund things. Next slide. Next slide, if you can get there. All right. I tried to pull together a bunch of headlines from the Washington Post from the 1970s and the 1980s and the early 90s, and you can see where this tension between the kind of rural leadership at the General Assembly and the demands of some of the growing urban areas across the state laid out. Some of the headlines are missing, but there's the Washington Post bias, of course, in most of these headlines demanding why the rural legislators refuse to pay for transportation projects across Northern Virginia. Some of them are kind of comical to read. I recall one headline where one of the rural legislators, I can't remember exactly, indicated that they were being raped by the big boys from the city. And it's some funny reading. Go, next slide, please, John. All my headlines don't pop up. You might have to click it a number of times. Yeah, here we go. Sorry about that. Keep clicking. Hopefully we'll get to the next slide in the next 20 minutes. All right, that should be the last time. Okay, so back to the political process. I mentioned sort of the shift in political influence between rural areas to more urban localities across the state. If you look at the leadership in the General Assembly now, not a lot of folks from this side of the state. I do think we do have a lot of good folks in the General Assembly. I mentioned Terry Austin earlier. He's been instrumental in getting some much needed help, financial help for projects on Interstate 81. But we don't have a lot of influence in terms of leadership positions in the General Assembly at the moment. Next slide, please. All right, last slide I think for me is in Virginia, the funding process largely runs through this program that was created in 2014 called Smart Scale. It evaluates projects, transportation projects across 5 factors, and Really the takeaway from this slide is that if you have projects that are evaluated for their benefits and they're roughly the same, this process also looks at cost. And Northern Virginia, Richmond, Hampton Roads have their own regional pools of money that they can use to buy down the cost of their projects. We don't have access to those kinds of regional resources. So what I'm basically trying to tell you is that within smart scale, those localities, those regions in the other parts of the state are more competitive. So next slide. So takeaway, we have constrained funding. There's a competitive funding process, and we operate in a very challenging political environment. Therefore, we need to be very, very strategic in our decision making on which transportation projects to pursue. With that, I'm going to turn it over briefly to Andrea to give you an overview of a couple of transportation studies that were recently completed. I'm also glad to take questions at the end of our presentation. Thank you.
Hello, thank you for having me. Thank you for inviting me. It's my first time attending one of your meetings, but many familiar faces. Mr. Bestich, Andre, we used to work together at the Mountain View Neighborhood Association, and of course, Mr. Osborne. Sorry, but you're gonna have to sit through my presentation for the fourth time, maybe. And so the mayor, so some familiar faces people that I've worked with over the years. Well, that's not for me, but yeah, I'm gonna tell you about that. So, first of all, so I've been with the commission for about 3 years already, and my official title was Director of Right Solutions. If you have heard of Right Solutions, is a program that was hosted at the Regional Commission to promote bipolar ride share, transit, essentially to help people to get to work without the needs of driving home. Over the tenure of the commission, we have started developing more projects that reach beyond commuting assistance, whereas I didn't get a time for outreach. Reach beyond commuter assistance and projects that really help our community achieve sort of a story was talking about transportation and trying to maintain and expand our transportation network is very difficult, very expensive. So my job is to try to have a transportation network that is sustainable and that we can all share and hopefully get our resources, leverage our resources to make it efficient. So as of this year, now I am Director of Transportation and Management Programs at the Regional Commission that encompasses more than just commuter assistance. And so one of the projects that led to me changing my title was the electric vehicle market study for our region. We have heard from our localities and well, the state is I guess it really comes from the federal government, directly on here. The federal government wants more electric vehicles, so that's what electrifying vehicles. So they're pouring money into the states to electrify what they call priority corridors. So for Virginia or for our region, if that money is managed to the Department of Transportation, for our region, those priority corridors are 81 and 60. So what happens at the local level? What happens with 220, with 311, with 460? So some of our localities ask us to look into what would it take to electrify those, by electrifying and installing electric vehicle charging stations. So we embarked into a study. This is a study to see how ready we are for this. And primarily the goal of this study has been to support our localities and jurisdictions to identify locations for electrical vehicle charging stations deployments over the next decade or so. I should mention, so Tori did a good job explaining what the Metropolitan Planning Organization is. Our Roanoke County Regional Commission, serves 11 localities, in our region. That includes Roanoke City, Roanoke County, Franklin County, Watertown County, Clark County, Clifton Forge, Covington, Allegheny Highlands, and sometimes Benton, City of Salem, City of Roanoke, etc. So those are the localities and jurisdictions that we are talking about here. So that this project is ongoing. Can you go to the next slide? We're almost finishing, and again, it's a plan. You guys don't need to like go look at it or be or anything, just know that it's happening, but I wanted to present this, kind of outlook over here. And this map is actually just a bird drawing, so you're going to go and look at it. But this is an interactive map, actually, you can go and zoom in and look at dissertations, like what the areas and their color was what is telling you is that those are like the priority locations, to seek to electrify within the corridors in the region. To see a lot of concentration, of course, in the urban area, Roanoke County, Roanoke City, Salem, etc. So that's there. However, this is kind of interesting. So right now in the region, there are 42 publicly accessible charging ports. That is it. And as of this year, we have about 980 electric vehicle registrations in our area. If we do nothing, absolutely nothing, like we just move on business as usual, by 2030, the projections are that there will be almost 5,800 electric vehicles in our area. And that means, I don't have the chart there, but that means that we need almost 4 times, so at least 4,000 electric vehicle charging ports to supply that demand. So that's why we need to start looking at that and with the localities and motivate them to apply for funding. There is very robust sources of funding because this is coming right now from the federal government or moving into state, and the state organizations distributing the money via grants or supporting the project. Next, please. So that's really all, like, again, it's very high clients of like what are the type of projects we work at the regional commission to support sustainability and support our transportation network. This other project, again, and efforts to outreach to our, and we do a lot of outreach actually. As an action item, you also go sign up to our newsletter and take all the surveys. And that should be like a revenue for somebody that takes in the surveys from the regional commission. Thank you. So the next slide, please. In 2023, we did a regional travel survey. We outreached to all of our localities with a survey that intended to ask what are the transportation needs for you at the household level. How are you struggling? How are you thriving with transportation in every household? We received over 1,600 responses for that survey. Next, please. And really, like, we summarized this into 3 big key findings. There's a lot more better to it, but and again, in my line of work, this is what we kind of wanted to get to. Personal vehicles are the main mode of transportation in our region. That sometimes gas prices, if we had that in 2023, that's when we had an uptick in gas prices. Maintenance costs and traffic congestions are burning for our residents. So we have to look at ways to help them relieve that. Next slide, please. So then I just really high level here, the majority of our survey people said that gas prices are a big challenge for commuting a personal vehicle, and that traffic congestion in the region is a challenge. So those are areas that the regional commission studies and thinks into. Please. Key finding number 2, many areas throughout our region need more public transportation, bike paths, is safer and better connected sidewalks. So, next please. This is really across the board and also in rural localities, where there's really more need of public transportation, and we're looking at that right now with Allegheny Highlands and with Franklin County and what best public transportation will for them. Bike paths are well received and loved in our region, but I think because of that, our residents want more and better connected bike paths. And also improving sidewalks in our community. For all of us, that is almost vitality and quality of life amenity, and there are not as many, once you get out of the city, it's really hard to find sidewalks. Yes, please. And key finding number 3, that commuting in our region can be expensive and frustrating, especially for certain groups, like carpooling and pooling don't help. So there's so that is part of my program, the community assistance program, Right Solutions. We're working with employers to help them assist their employees in finding better ways to commute through programs that are subsidized statewide, like pooling. We have a subsidy that we offer for pooling assistance. We also have something that's called an emergency ride home. So if you were to be riding transit or carpool to work, but the thing that prevents you from doing it is the thought that if you need to get home for an emergency, what do you do? There's an emergency ride home that helps through that process. I think that's all I got. Yes. Did I make it?
Yeah, you did. You could take 1 minute of questions and then after the meeting.
All right. Yeah, so. Yes, sir.
Not a question, a comment. The solution for traffic at 311-419 intersection in Roanoke County that was installed 2 years ago, the roundabout there, solved the transportation problem, solved the traffic jam there. Perfect. Thank you.
Yeah, well, I don't take credit for that. That was but we did fund it, right? Yeah, the transportation regional commission program, like work for the funding for it.
In the interest of time, we're gonna ask you to front of the meeting with your questions. And I know at least one of you stayed for that, so thank you, appreciate that. So now I'm gonna give the presenters a round of applause. And we're gonna give them an honorary check. At the top, it's gonna come up with this. Capture them all. So you're honorary, you've decided that you'd like to support Feed Southwest Virginia. Thank you, that's a very worthy cause. We're familiar with that organization. A lot. Here we go. Thank you both. Thank you. So let me have a couple of speakers who can talk about things, and every one of us has to deal with not on a daily, perhaps on a weekly basis. Now, 4th of July is coming up, and so we will not be meeting next Wednesday because of that holiday. We will be meeting on Wednesday following that, which is July 10th. If you do nothing this year, but invite a guest, July 10th is the meeting to do that. We will have the fun day wrap up. And Nelson Harris will be here speaking about his latest book. It's the perfect Wednesday to invite a guest. It might not get any better than that. And the last inducement for you to do that, I'm going to thank Gene Waldorf now. He's on the Zoom. Vice President Gene Waldorf will be presiding over that meeting while I am out of town. So, I'll pause for that. And with that, I'm going to end the meeting.
Thank you very much. Yes, I didn't realize we're that close.
Thank you. Thank you. There's a lot of material to cover. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Just like they show on the impacts. Their picture of that. Yeah. Well, they did. That's bad. That's a lot of like. Okay. And I hope so. Right.
So, yeah, so this is why we're doing separate.
I see now. Makes sense.
If you had paid attention last week, you heard that I solved problems that people don't know they have in ways they can't understand.
The engineer's creed, I think.
So this is what's happening right now. It's like, all right, am I out? No, I'm gonna do one at a time, but I'm trying to cancel out of Zoom. How am I failing so badly?